Hey guys, Mike from Wrestling Then and Now. Thanks so much for checking out the YouTube channel and for all your support. If you haven't already, please click subscribe. I have so much content coming up. You don't want to miss anything. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. It really does help my channel grow. Thanks again.
I have notes here. I have things planned. So far, we've talked about 20, 25 minutes. I haven't asked you a single question. Like, this is how I love doing the show. I like it like two guys at a bar just talking wrestling. So I hope it's going good.
Do it though. Honestly, that is probably most of the questions have already been asked somewhere. To me and you just sitting back reminiscing and talking wrestling is really what people would rather see and hear anyway. Honestly, they really would. It's to determine, it's like anything to write it. Wrestling never was script written, not in my world, man. Nobody ever. They would give me 2 pointers. Today you're going to work with Ace, and I need you to go on TV and sell it. Well, that's all I need to know. I'm going to sell my product against Ace, and that's all I need. If it's script written, it's going to mess up. And when it messes up, they don't know what to do because it's not in the script. And that's what happened to our business. Everybody really thought wrestling was never script written. The greatest angles that ever drew came about accidentally. Dundee and Lawler, they did the Tupelo, Mississippi concession stand fight. That wasn't, nobody ever told that. That wasn't written down. It just ended up, they fought to the concession stand. Lawler threw a mustard jar. Wayne Ferris ducked. It busted on the wall. And then they just kept on with it. And the old man that owned the concession was not happy, but they paid him and they bought it all for him and he was thrilled. But it's pretty like hell, man, because you can't insult the people's intelligence. The people know that it's kind of a rigged sport. But also the greatest part about our sport is Archie Bunker. I don't even know if anybody even knows who that guy is, but Archie Bunker was one and Meathead came in and he said, Archie, what are you doing watching this garbage? He said, it's all fake. He said, they know who's going to win or lose. And Archie Bunker said, yeah, they do, but I don't. And that's exactly what makes our business so. David Copperfield, we know he didn't make the Statue of Liberty disappear, but when I watched it, it was gone. David Blaine and Chris Angel and all, I know they didn't walk off that building. I know they didn't levitate. But when I watched it, they did, and it was pretty impressive to me. And I don't want to know how they did it because then it ruins all the fun. And same as wrestling. Everybody wants to know, and they think they know. And then Jarrett was the greatest one to always just throw that swerve in there and never, ever, ever give the people what they think they're going to get. Because when they can call it, they won't come to see it no more. And he was
shout out to Meathead. What a good hand Meathead was, right? He was a hell of a hand.
He was I guess he was the job boy to Archie, baby. He had to feed Archie. And I don't even think nobody knows who the Archie Bunker is. They might know him off of when he was a cop on that one cop show before he died. Hill Street.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was one of my greatest lines ever. He said, yeah, Meathead, they do, but I don't. And that's exactly right.
That's awesome. Let's talk PG13.
Sure.
How did you and Wolfie first get together?
In Nashville, Wolfie used to come to the fairgrounds on Saturday nights in Nashville. That's where, we wrestled every Saturday night, and I was already managing back then. I was a little heel man. I turned on my dad and was the 19-year-old, rebellious kid with the earring and all that stuff. And of course it fits, it's like anything. People at home watching or relating, they can relate to that, and that's what I mean by we always took real life and put it in Memphis. We take real life situations and put them in the ring because you don't insult the people's intelligence. You know what I mean? I turned on my dad, but the people that knew me knew I was a wild ass kid that didn't listen to my dad and wouldn't do what he said anyway, and that's really the way it was. And so was every other 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid on the planet. They don't listen to their parents. And all we do is tell them, don't do this. They say, okay. And then all of a sudden, bam, you get a call from the school and they smoke in the bathroom. I mean, what the hell, But, and so when I was managing, Wolfie used to come to the fairgrounds because it was funny. He told me, he said, I hated you, man. I said, then I was doing my job. Then I did my job. Good. I'm glad to know you hated me. But then he started working on the outlaw circuit. And, a guy named Chris Champion, me and Wolfie were wrestling each other. Wolfie was actually in the shorts. He called himself DJ Wolfie D back then. He wore a little hat sideways and no hubcap or nothing, just a pair of shorts. They weren't painted or nothing, but he was still like a hip hop kid. And Chris Champion said, man, y'all should do that together instead of working each other. He said, y'all, what his exact words was, y'all could be the next new breed, like Sean Roll and Chris Champion. They were the new breed. They had the cool hairdos and all that. So me and Wolfie started doing that. We started doing that together. And then when Jeff Jarrett saw us, he's like, show this to my dad. So that's when the day before we showed it to his dad is when we painted them. I said, man, we'll get this puppy paint stuff. We'll run to my house, my mama's house. We sat there and painted it, and my mama made us dinner, and we had a big meeting with at the mansion the next day for Jarrett. And then, like I said, the hubcap, it came on as a rib because where we wrestled in Shelbyville, Tennessee, it was at a cab stand. So there was all kind of cab parts for cab cars, yellow cabs, and there was hubcaps and doors and all kind of stuff in the back where we dressed and stuff. So there was a can of spray paint. So I just picked that hubcap up, tied a rope around it, spray painted PG13 on it, and just said, we're going to carry this. It's going to be it's going to be the finish. And it got over. It really did. And matter of fact, I think it got us our job everywhere. I think John Cena stole my gimmick. He just made it into a spinner instead of a hubcap. He just upgraded it. That's all.
That was the finish when we worked. I moved for the hubcap.
Hubcap up. And see, it got such big heat because, like, I was working with Miss Texas, a girl. Which, she was and I wasn't a big dude, but she'd have me just fixing to whoop a shit out of me and got me beat, and we'd hubcap, and then people come unglued, man. They'd be madder than hell, man. Because that's what happened to the wrestling business. Nobody's mad at the bad guy no more, nothing. They, the bad guys all, I don't know, or the heel or whatever you want to call them. In Memphis, when you was a heel, man. Matter of fact, if you was a good enough heel, you had to fight sometimes, to get back and forth to the ring. And when you go out to your car, they'd be out there trying to surround it and shit. You'd have to have the police take you out stuff. And, I guess the WWF maybe it made it that way because, after the show, everybody's in the same hotel. They're all in the same bar. You'd have got fired for that. And in our day, you were fired, man. If me and Wolfie went to a bar and Jeff Jarrett and Dustin Rhodes was in that bar, they were the baby faces. Nah, we can't go in that bar, man. It's Memphis. We got to go to another bar. Every now and then, you be in the same bar with them, but you better stay far, far apart in the bar, because the people, in Memphis, that TV was hot, man. If nobody really understands what shares are, nothing, but those are the people that do. It got like a 19 share, which means each share is 100,000 homes. 19 shares means that thing 1.9 million homes every Saturday morning was on that channel watching that television, man. That's big time stuff, bro. That's in the 70s and 80s, man. That's big time stuff, man.
And you're not talking nationwide. You're talking in Memphis.
Right. That's what I've always said. I said Vince McMahon and the show he produces and brings would not draw a nickel in our territory because you had to bring that same garbage every single week. That's what people don't understand. Every single week, 52 weeks a year, we were in the same building and the same people came. And to make the same people show up 52 weeks in a row, you better be able to change it up and have some different things going on, and you better be able to swerve the people. That's what Jerry Jarrett was the greatest mind in the world for, because he would say, this is what they expect, and this is what we're going to give them. And it was never, ever what they expected. Even shaving my mama's head, they never expected Dundee's old lady to get her head shaved. They knew they were shaving Lawler. They just shaved Dundee. They were coming to see King get his head shaved. They were coming to see my mama, but they knew that wasn't going to happen. And sure enough, when it happened, shocked the world, man. It was just, oh my God, they shaved Dundee's old lady's head.
Your dad, was he the booker at one time too?
Times, many times. That my whole entire life, my daddy, I guess he was kind of the booker anyway, because every single morning, like when I go up to go to school, my dad would get up and go to the Jarrett's mansion, and sit up there in the office, even if he wasn't, but he would just sit in there and listen and learn and put in, because the greatest booking in the world is done by 4 or 5 people with all putting in inputs, and then you make one out of it. It's like when Kevin Nash became the booker of WCW, he beat Goldberg. He beat for his ego and shit. You know what I'm saying? And nobody cared. It killed him off. Nobody cared. You beat Goldberg. They knew you were the booker. That's why my dad, when he was the booker, never was a wrestler. When he was the booker, he was the booker. Because what happens is if you're the booker, you start to book yourself because you love yourself more than anybody else. And then you build the whole thing around yourself, and the people know, and you insult the people's intelligence. And if you insult the people's intelligence, they won't come back. It's like anything, man, you know. And so when my old man became the booker for Bill Watts, he didn't even work. We just moved to Louisiana, and he made Bill Watts big money. And all he really did was bring the angles from Tennessee that we had already run for 15 years to the Louisiana territory that they had never seen. And then he brought the rock and roll with him and the midnight with him. You know, my dad was really loyal like that to dudes, man, for real. Like when they would call and say, well, we went to Charlotte, North Carolina to be the booker. My dad said, all right. And the first thing my dad did when he went to company was fired everybody. And it wasn't because he didn't like them or you got to clean house. You got to clean them all out and get a whole new set. It's like anything. If you got a bunch of horses and they don't win races, you get rid of them and get a whole bunch of new horses. And it wasn't that the people, they didn't really draw. It was the people were tired of seeing the same things. So what my dad would do is he would say, I'm bringing me, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, Terry Taylor, Magnum TA, and so and Bobby Fulton, and we're coming to Louisiana, and we're not gonna put them guys out of a job. They're gonna send Hacksaw Doug and Dr. Steve Williams and all them up to Memphis to take all these guys places, and you could do that for 2 or 3 years. And by the time we hit back to Memphis, they were so thrilled to see everybody. It just kept working, you know. Dundee's returning, rock and roll's back, and see, everybody made money that way too, though. Everybody got paid and everybody made money, and everybody just swapped each other around, man. Really, you know, 4 or 5 years here, sell that. Look, I'll send you Ace and Dundee. You send me the Rock and Stone Cold, and just swap them out, man. And sure enough, it worked. But then listen, we got to tell the people about the ticket I sent you, the picture of the ticket.
I gotta show that. Reach out to Jamie on Facebook to do the show, and of course Jamie goes, yeah, I remember you. And here I am thinking, Jamie Dundee doesn't remember me. He met me one time in Jersey. This guy wrestled 14,000 matches. He's not gonna remember me. Tell him what you sent me.
And then I said, hold on. I told my wife, I said, Ace don't, I kind of knew that. I said, this guy Ace don't think I even know who the hell he is. And I said, I've been reading his name on this damn ticket stub for 25 years because it says, come see Buddy Landell versus Doug Gilbert. Then it says also appearing Reckless Youth, Ace Darling, and a few other names on there. And I wasn't even advertised, but I kept it because it was the first time I'd ever worked out north. But also, I'm a big mark for me. I love me, and anything. I got every single mug shot I've ever taken. I got it home. I got anything. I got it all, bro. Because I love me. But also, and that's so for the people that don't know, I took a picture of this ticket and I sent it to Ace, and I said, "Let me show you something, man." I said, "You're not gonna believe this shit, but I still got the ticket from the night we wrestled, from the town we wrestled in, and here it is." And he was like, "No way, man, no way, you got that." And I'm like, "Yep." And I tell you what I need to do. I need to drop it in the mail and send it to you, though, because you're on it. I'm not even on it. Just kept it on. I need to send it to you so you can put it on your wall of shame back there.